Sri Swami Vishwananda. Sri Swami Vishwananda. Hari Om, 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 Sri Swami Vishwananda.
Avatara Shishaya Namaha, Om Vishamaya Namaha, Om Devendra Samyataya Namaha, Om Sukshmatanave Namaha, Om Chimayaya Namaha, Om Guru Murtaye Namaha, Om Sundaraya Namaha, Om Sulochanaya Namaha, Om Sumukaya Namaha, Om Charvasaya Namaha, Om Keshavaya Namaha, Om Padmabhujaya Namaha, Om Adagamanaya Namaha, Om Charumbaradarine Namaha, Om Ramaya Namaha, Om Adirastapakaya Namaha, Om Shri Bhutabhrteshwarnath Namaha, Om Gayatri Ajmane Namaha, Om Arpana Swikarakaya Namaha, Om Vishnu Pujakaya Namaha, Om Namo Narayane Mantropasakaya Namaha, Om Swaramayaya Namaha, Om Madhurakantaya Namaha, Om Krishna Sankirtana Lopaya Namaha, Om Sotapriyaya Namaha, Om Mitabashime Namaha, Om Vagline Namaha, Om Shidakala Visharadaya Namaha, Om Vratadaraya Namaha, Om Sadave Namaha, Om Jagatpantaya Namaha, Om Sarvalokahitaya Namaha, Om Bhaktapriyaya Namaha, Om Surdaya Namaha, Om Anukulaya Namaha, Om Neyaya Namaha, Om Sudarshanaya Namaha, Om Bhaktavatsalaya Namaha, Om Prema Murtaye Namaha, Om Shubhekshanaya Namaha, Om Pritivardhanaya Namaha, Om Shastidayakaya Namaha, Om Tarakaya Namaha, Om Anugrahaya Namaha, Om Vardhanaya Namaha, Om Architaya Namaha, Om Artaya Namaha, Om Siddhipradaya Namaha, Om Janardanaya Namaha, Om Manoharaya Namaha, Om Mahakshaya Namaha, Om Siddheshwaraya Namaha, Om Bhasmarushitaya Namaha, Om Atmalingaya Namaha, Om Ligashara Protsakaya Namaha, Om Siddhisaranaya Namaha, Om Madhavaya Namaha, Om Verupasakaya Namaha, Om Sukshmaya Namaha, Om Vishakaya Namaha, Om Sattvikaya Namaha, Om Samadarshine Namaha, Om Dakshaya Namaha, Om Ashintyaya Namaha, Om Nirankaraya Namaha, Om Nirmohaya Namaha, Om Avyagraya Namaha, Om Chitagrodaya Namaha, Om Vinayashilaya Namaha, Om Savashaya Namaha, Om Kushalaya Namaha, Om Kshamaya Namaha, Om Satyadharmaya Namaha, Om Nirvikalpaya Namaha, Om Viraktaya Namaha, Om Atindraya Namaha, Om Satyasandaya Namaha, Om Pavitraya Namaha, Om Madhurisvabhavaya Namaha, Om Suranandaya Namaha, Om Nandanaya Namaha, Om Prasanatmane Namaha, Om Bhaktanidaye Namaha, Om Sakshaye Namaha, Om Samatmaye Namaha, Om Sadayogine Namaha, Om Haraye Namaha, Om Sutapaya Namaha, Om Somyaya Namaha, Om Bhuyaya Namaha, Om Vimukatmaya Namaha, Om Gabilaya Namaha, Om Guptaya Namaha, Om Atmaramaya Namaha, Om Srinivasaya Namaha, Om Devaya Namaha, Om Jyotidaraya Namaha, Om Danyaya Namaha, Om Gurave Namaha, Om Duratikramaya Namaha, Om Gahanaya Namaha, Om Bhagavate Namaha, Om Harisharanamakarashakaya Namaha, Om Kutashujagatakaya Namaha, Om Aviprayaya Namaha, Om Savamata Samatyaya Namaha, Om Kshamakata Bhavaradakaya Namaha, Om Premavatara Sri Vishwananda Swamine Namaha. Ato Deva Avantuno Yato Vishnu Vichakrame Prithivya Sapta Dhamabhi Idam Vishnu Vichakrame Tredani Dadepanam Samudamasya Bhagusure Trini Pada Vichakrame Vishnu Gopada pashyata yato ratani paspashe indrasya yujasaka tad Vishnu paramam padam sada pashanti surya divi vachakshura tatam tad vipraso vipanyavo jagruvakum sasamindate Vishnu yat paramam padam. Vishwananda prachodayate Om Premakadaya Vidmahe Sadgurudevaya Dhimahi Tano Vishwananda prachodayate Om Premakadaya Vidmahe Sadgurudevaya Dhimahi Tano Vishwananda prachodayate. Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvikam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Om Bhurvuvah Swaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat Om Bhurvuvah Swaha Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat Om Bhurvuvah Swaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Sudana Kaitavare Narayana Chuta Trivikrama Chakrapane Deities Sanjadara Sridhara Vasudeva Gopala Krishna Hare Tava Suprabhaktam Shri Rukmini Shabhavanasha Hare Murare Radhesha Kotisha Surupa Brahmadi Vandya Shri Dvarakashaya Vaibhuta Pate Bhuvaneka Murte Gopala Deva Hare Tava Suprabhaktam Vinagri Tishtanti Deva Tava Darshana Bhagya Hetu Gopala Semra Haraye Tava Suprabhatam Matara Jani Tulasi Dala Malika Devi Mayani Anjali Bhute Samuda Arati Tishtanti Bharbhavata Rara Zale Munindra Radha Manohara Haraye Tava Suprabhatam Vedatrayam Patati Gautama Karakuya Gayanti Sakunagano Varada Savargaha Sankirtayanti Tava Nama Kada Vishesha Shinarada Vishaya Tava Suprabhatam Govardhano Narana Gopa Kishora Gopa Gopi Janamrita Suvesha Bhavati Pota Trilokya Mohana Sumakala Divya Deha Shri Rukmini Shavarada Tava Suprabhatam Shivatsa China Sharanagata Parijata Bhaktati Vanchana Kripakara Dina Bando Vidyanta Gayati Jana Priya Divya Rupa Srinanda Gopatanaya Tava Suprabhatam Padmaksha Padma Mukha Padma Dara Prameya Padmadaya Sahita Padma Nivasa Shuri Padmodavati Sura Sevita Pada Padma Padmadinada Haraye Tava Suprabhatam Ridata Levi Haranaya Mahendra Vandya Gandharva Darpa Haratinya Sudesha Rupa Chandaranaya Siddha Chandana Lipta Deha Govinda Yada Varaye Tava Suprabhatam Srinanda Nandana Yashoda Kumara Dira Mayanga Dina Davishoda Supushpahara Nilambudana Susharira Rama Vihara Gopala Deva Haraye Tava Suprabhatam Shri Bhashi Jambavati Satya Sukanti Vadra Shri Mitra Vinda Divasa Prabhu Purkidati Tishtanti Divya Bhava Medava Sevanarnam Gopi Manapri Haraye Tava Suprabhatam Shri Krishna Achyuta Ananda Mukunda Shauri Radha Manohara Janardana Chakrapane Namani Divya Munayona Nisham Bhajanti Rami Muhurta Samaye Tava Suprabhatam Shri Krishna Suprabhatam Deva Tantiya Hanishan Muri Kritan Mahapapam Shri Krishna Graveduta
Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachitananda Vira Anadiradir Govinda Sadakarana Karana Govinda Mari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govinda Mari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Chintamani Prakara Samba Surapariksha Laksha Vitesha Surabhira Vipalayanta Lakshmi Sahasya Sata Sambrama Sevyamana Govinda Mari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govinda Mari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Venu Pramanta Maravinda Dalai Taksha Paravakansana Sitambura Sundaranga Gandharva Koti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobha Govinda Mari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govinda Mari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Alola Chanda Kalasavana Maya Vamshi Ratnagadam Pranaya Keli Kalavidasa Shamanti Mangalani Kanyata Prakasha Govinda Mari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govinda Mari Purusham Mari Purushottama Bhajami Pantasukoti Sadavaksara Sangramamyo Vayuratapi Manaso Manipugavana Sotyasya Prapadasya Vichijatave Govinda Mari Purushottama Bhajami Govinda Mari Purushottama Bhajami Eko Pesora Chayitu Jagadanda Koti Yashakti Rasti Jagadanda Chayaya Danda Ananda Rasta Paramam Chayanta Rasta Govinda Mari Purushottama Bhajami Govinda Mari Purushottama Bhajami Yabhava Bhavitariyo Manujasta Deva Samprapya Rupa Mahima Sanayana Bhusha Sukteya Deva Nigama Pratitestu Vanti Govinda Mari Purushottama Bhajami Govinda Mari Purushottama Bhajami Ananda Chimaya Rasa Pratibha Vipavi Davira Eva Nija Rupa Taya Kalavi Goloka Eva Nivasate Kilapa Bhuto Govinda Mari Purushottama Bhajami Govinda Mari Purushottama Bhajami Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Sandasa Deva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti Yashama Sundara Najincha Guna Swarupa Govinda Mari Purushottama Bhajami Govinda Mari Purushottama Bhajami Namari Murti Sukhalani Yamena Tishta Nanavatara Vakaropu Vadeshu Kinto Krishna Swayam Samabhavat Parama Pumanyo Govinda Mari Purushottama Bhajami Govinda Mari Purushottama Bhajami Yasya Prabhavato Jagaranda Koti Koti Shvashesha Vasudhari Vibhuti Vina Tat Brahmanishkala Ananta Shesha Bhuta Govinda Mari Purushottama Bhajami Govinda Mari Purushottama Bhajami Maya Yasya Jagaranta Sakari Sute Degunyata Vishaya Veda Vitaya Mana Sarva Valambi Parasattva Vishura Sarva Govinda Mari Purushottama Bhajami Govinda Mari Purushottama Bhajami Ananda Shimaya Rasatmataya Maneshu Yapranina Pratipalas Maratamupedya Tilayatena Bhuvanani Jayatya Jashna Govinda Mari Purushottama Bhajami Govinda Mari Purushottama Bhajami Golokanami Nijanami Taleda Tasya Devi Mahesha Haridama Shuteshu Teshu Tete Prabhava Nishaya Vijitashayena Govinda Mari Purushottama Bhajami Govinda Mari Purushottama Bhajami Shristi Palaya Sadhana Shakti Reda Jayeva Yasya Bhuvanani Vibharti Durga Yechana Rupamapi Yasya Shatesa Tesa Govinda Mari Purushottama Bhajami Govinda Mari Purushottama Bhajami Shiraya Tata Divikara Vishesha Yoga Sanjaya Dena Hikata Pradikasti Heto Yashambuta Hamidata Samupati Kaya Govinda Mari Purushottama Bhajami Govinda Mari Purushottama Bhajami Vipachireva Yushattana Vipedya Vipaya Devi Vitahetu Samana Dharma Yatani Eva Nisha Jishutana Vipati Govinda Mari
Ajnanatimirandasya jnananjana shalakaya Miritam yena tasmei Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Gurudev, everybody. For today's satsang, I have chosen the story of King Bharata from Canto 5. And this is a very famous story because Guruji quoted it many times and we heard it many times for sure in here. And just to remind you how the story goes, King Bharata was the oldest son of King Rishabhadeva, who was an avatar of Narayana himself, King Rishabhadeva, I mean. And he had taught the spiritual knowledge to his sons, and there was time for him to renounce, so King Rishabhadeva, he went to wait for a renunciate. And King Bharata, as being the oldest one, he inherited the kingdom and he ruled the kingdom very righteously, according to the knowledge he received. And he ruled so well that India was called Bharata for many, many years, right? As you probably heard. They even discuss now so that it will be called again Bharat, not India. And so at some point the time came for him to renounce as well. So he went to the forest, started his spiritual practice, devotional practice. He was described as the very exalted, very dedicated devotee, quite high level. But at some point, as we know in the story, he see a deer, right, a pregnant deer near the river, and suddenly the deer and him, they hear a loud lion roar. The deer become afraid. She tried to cross over the river, and while she tried to cross over the river, she gave birth to a little deer, to a baby deer. So the baby, and then the mother actually dies. Yeah. And so Bharata sees all this. He sees that the baby deer is helpless, without mother, in the river, will die soon, basically. And so the verse for today is Canto 5, chapter 8 and verse 9. And this is Bharata's thoughts. He's thinking. So actually all the verses in Canto 5, they're very long. And the meter is very weird. Let's try to chant it. Aho batayam harina kunaka kripana ishvara rata charana paribramana rayena svagana suhat bandubhya parivarjita sharanam cha mopasarito mam eva mata pitaro bratrik natim yatikams chevo peyaya Nanyam kanchana veda maya iti visrambdaschata eva maya mat parayanasya poshana palana prinana lalanam anasuyuna nushteyam sharanyopeksha dosha vidusha. So great king Maharaja Bharata began to think, this helpless young deer, by the force of time, an agent of the Supreme Lord, has now lost its relatives and friends and has taken shelter of me. It does not know anyone but me, as I have become its father, its mother, its brother, and relatives. This deer is thinking in this way, and it has full faith in me. It does not know anyone but me. Therefore, I should not be envious and think that for the deer, my own welfare will be destroyed. So here, envious has been translated. Actually, the Sanskrit word is the anasuya, and it has the meaning of envious, as translated, for example, chapter 9, verse 1 of Bhagavad Gita. It can have this meaning, but another meaning, it has also selfish. Right? So I think here it fits a bit more than envious. How can you be envious of a dying deer? So the meaning is, I should not be selfish, right? And think that for the deer, my own welfare will be destroyed. And he continues thinking, I should certainly raise, protect, gratify, and fondle it. Fondle means to hug, to pet, to kiss, and this kind of activities. When it has taken shelter with me, how can I neglect it? Even though the deer is disturbing my spiritual life, I realize that a helpless person who has taken shelter cannot be neglected. That would be a great fault. So as we know, if you read further throughout the story, we will see very clearly that he has made a mistake, and he has realized his mistake. He's realized it and changed completely, because we know through the story he was born as a deer in the next life. And then actually, Srimad Bhagavatam describes that he was waiting to die in order to be born as the human being again. And when he was born as the human being, he was born as the Jada Bharata. And Jada means like crazy, like Rama, Anshul's son. Yeah, we see him running around, shouting. And Bharata actually was pretending. He was so afraid that he will get attached to others. He was so afraid that other people will get attached to him that he behaved in such a way that people would be just disgusted by him, or just didn't want any connection with him whatsoever. For example, his father was teaching him, you go to toilet, then you wash yourself. What he was doing, he was washing himself, then he was going to toilet, so things like this, yeah. Like Rama behaving, yeah, like basically running around, shouting, and things like this, like acting in a logical way, okay? And what we should do from our side, you see, sometimes we think that these stories a long time ago, and they speak about different kinds of people, right? It's not true. Actually, these people are not different from us at all. The sentiment might be different, yes. There might be kings, their culture might be different, actually was different, but still the problem is still the same. It's still the mind, still attachment. The problem didn't change at all. And Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, in the chapter 4, at the very beginning, he says that this teaching is not new. I have already given it millions of years ago. And so what we should do actually to see what kind of mistakes these personalities did, analyze these mistakes and don't do them. Yeah. And of course, on the surface, it's very clear what mistakes, the mistake he did is to become attached. It's a very basic kind of understanding. We all know the verse from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, verse 6. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajatante kalevaram tam tam eveti kuntaya saratat bhava bhavitaha. Whatever we are attached to, that we attain. If we are attached to our body, if we are attached to the body of someone else, or whatever, it's money or fame, whatever, we will just be born again. We will get it in the next life. All right? So that was his kind of basic understanding of his mistake. He became attached to the deer. But I would like, actually the whole story of Bharata, there are many angles, like how we can look at the problem. And today I would like to look at it at a very, in my opinion, very difficult problem to discuss, problem of ethical and moral side of it, okay? Should he help the deer? Should he not help the deer? And what is a true help really, okay? Because every one of us can actually find ourselves in such a position as Bharata. Any one of us can have a relative that is sick, that is dying. Any one of us can have a pet, like a cat or dog or turtle or whatever, yeah, that is dying. And what should we do? Should we give up our practice, our spiritual practice, and think and dedicate completely to the service? Right? That's very difficult questions, actually, to answer. Let's try. Yeah, I will present you my opinion. Maybe you will have different. You are free to do this, of course. And so let's see again his thought process, how he was thinking. So he sees that the baby deer is in danger, and he's thinking, I should not be selfish, thinking that my spiritual life will be destroyed. Okay, and actually his spiritual life was destroyed because he was so attached to the deer, his thoughts were so engrossed into the deer, of petting where he is, feeding him, that he couldn't even think. He was serving the Bhagavan. He couldn't even think. He was always looking where the deer is. Okay, so actually his spiritual life was destroyed. But the question is, should we, or actually, rather this kind of question, is our spiritual practice ever selfish? Let's look through this question first. And this is not true. Our spiritual practice never actually selfish completely. We might perceive it like this, We might do it for our own sake, like for our enjoyment and things like this, but ultimately it's never for our sake alone. And Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, verses 1, 2, and 3, he presents the idea of Ashwata tree, the banyan tree, which is upside down. Its roots are from above. Its branches are below. And he calls it the tree of life. And why these roots are above? Because they come from the Supreme Lord himself. And what the roots do in the tree? Roots nourish the whole tree. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, chapter 31 and verse 14, Sage Narada is saying that by worshipping the roots, by nourishing the roots, you nourish the whole tree. Right. So here is the same idea. When we worship the Supreme Lord, when we do our spiritual practice, we might perceive it as for ourselves, but ultimately we actually worship, we are nourishing the whole creation because we are worshiping the roots. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, He is the root of everything, He is the seed of everything. So by worshiping Him, we are actually nourishing everything. And it is one of the most frequently asked questions, at least to me, like why we don't do charity in the Bhakti Marga, why we waste so many elements in Abhishekam, like honey and sugar, milk and things like this. We could give it to homeless children, to homeless people, to hungry people and things like this. And so this brings us the idea, what is really a true help? Right? Because, as I said, when we nourish the Supreme Lord, we're actually nourishing everything. And when, I really like actually, there is a quote by Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. If you don't know, it's a guru of Prabhupada. I really like his quote. He said once, anyone who rescues at least one soul from the imprisonment of the fortress of Maya, he is much more merciful than those who open hundreds of hospitals. This is not wrong. This is not bad to open hospitals, of course. Yeah. It's great. But this is not the ultimate help that we can give to people. Because this is all temporary. As I said in my previous satsang, if you understand Bhagavad Gita chapter 2 verse 16, you will understand the whole teachings of Guruji, the whole teachings of Bhagavad Gita and scriptures, because this is kind of a lens through which Guru and God, they look into the life. Because what is temporary, it said in the verse, what is temporary, there's always fluctuation, there's always change. And what is eternal, there's never change. It's constant, it's eternal. And so when we try to help, like a bodily help, give comfort, all right, it's all temporary. Krishna says in chapter 2, verse 14 in the Bhagavad Gita, pain and pleasure, they come and go. Today we are healthy, tomorrow we are sick again. This life we are healthy, next life we are sick again. Right? And so he says the wise are not bewildered by this. The wise are not touched by this. And so this is not bad to open hospitals. This is not bad to help. And so he should have helped actually the deer, because actually Krishna says, yeah, this is, you see how complicated these questions are, because in chapter 4, for example, verse 16, he says, action is difficult to understand what is inaction, what is action, because if he didn't help, if the deer would die, actually he would get karma for that. You know, when we are inactive and we see something happening, when we cannot help, actually we produce karma for ourselves. So he should have helped, but not get attached, not get engrossed, and not sacrifice his own spiritual practice and never think that this is spiritual practice is done for ourselves. This is not true. When we do spiritual practice, like for example Atma Kriya, there is an exercise called Trinity. And it is described that when we put like mantra into our body, even our own presence already purify everything. Even when we just look at the person, different people, even just by glance, we already help and we already purify the person. The same with the rituals, right? That's why we do the rituals. We're already helping, actually. Because, as I said, like the bodily help is temporary. Today we are healthy, tomorrow we are sick again. And this doesn't help the disease itself. The disease, it is the body. But the root of all suffering is actually the body-mind identification. Because the soul is never sick. The soul is never suffering in a way like body suffers. It does suffer, like Guruji said in the Guru Gita, it does suffer when we don't take our opportunity. When we are so close to the goal, the soul does suffer when we don't take the chance. But this is not the same suffering as this body suffers. From old age and diseases and things like this, like heat and cold. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, verse 20, when you get above gunas, you become free from birth, death, old age, and suffering, because the soul does not experience all this. Like it's above all this. And so that's why Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says it. The person who helps at least one soul to get free from the fortress of Maya, he's much more merciful than others. And this is actually a very difficult job to do, to be a guru, as Guru just said, right? This is not easy. It requires a lot of understanding, a lot of wisdom. This is not an easy job to do. And so another question, I already answered, he should have helped. And I already answered what the true help. And the spiritual people, they're actually compassionate by nature. I remember when I just met Guruji, he opened my heart. I felt very compassionate towards everybody. I wanted to serve. I wanted to give everything that I got to people. So by nature, such people are compassionate. And Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, verse 13, those people are who are compassionate towards everybody. Such devotee is dear to me. He says in chapter 6, verse 32, the true yogi, he sees pain and pleasure of others as himself. But yet, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, for example, chapter 2, verse 11, that we should not lament, neither for the dead nor for the living. And he also says in the same chapter 12, verse 18 and 19, he says that the devotee who is dear to me, he sees pleasure and pain as the same. So if we see pleasures and pain of others as ourselves, but we see pleasure and pain of ourselves as the same, so it's kind of contradicting, no? So how to find solution for this? And so in my opinion, the true compassion is not towards the bodily suffering of others, because we know that the soul doesn't suffer all this. The true compassion actually towards the ignorance of our true nature. True nature as eternal, true nature as blissful entity, true nature as the eternal fragment, eternal servant of Bhagavan himself. Because actually this is the biggest robbery, the greatest robbery that has happened, and nobody even noticed. We've been stripped of our divine nature, we forgot our divine nature, and we think this is life. This is life to chase pleasures, to change like 1 minute pleasure of eating pizza, eating ice cream. We say this is life. Sick, healthy, sick, healthy, sick, healthy. We say this is life. This is not true. We've been stripped away from our divine nature. And actually as the ending part of the satsang, very deep wisdom for you to contemplate on, which can change actually everything in your life. We are not physical beings that try to experience something divine. We are divine beings that temporarily experience physical experience in a way. Yeah, sorry for repetition. Yeah, so to sum up, his mistake was the biggest mistake, the basic mistake is to get attached, to be completely think only of the deer, to give up his spiritual practice was another mistake. We should never give up our spiritual practice and think that this is only for our sake. It is never for our sake. What we do in our puja, abhishekam, atma kriya, and so on, yes, we can perceive it as for our sake, but it is not true. This is never only for our sake. I can explain why. From the verses of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, for example, Ashwata tree, we nourish the roots, and the roots nourish the whole creation. Jai Gurudev.
Hari Sundarananda Mukunda, Hari Narayana Hari Om. 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 Hari Kesava Hari Govinda, 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 Hari Narayana Hari Om. Hari Sundarananda Mukunda, 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 Hari Narayana Hari Om. Vanamali Muralidhari, Govardhana Girivaradhari. Vanamali Muralidhari, Govardhana Girivaradhari. Nitya Nitya Kare Makana Chori, hey, Gopi Manahari. 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 Oye, Kandare, Gokula ke pyare. Ore, Kandare, Gokula ke pyare. Navore, nachore, rasre chayore. Navore, nachore, rasre chayore. Navore, nachore, rasre chayore. Navore, nachore, rasre chayore. Hari Sundarananda Mukunda, Hari Narayana Hari Om. Hari Sundarananda Mukunda, Hari Narayana Hari Om. Hari Sundarananda Mukunda, Hari Narayana Hari Om. Hari Sundarananda
Krishna Sharanam, Shiva Sharanam, Krishna Sharanam, Shiva Sharanam, Krishna Sharanam, Shiva Sharanam, Krishna Sharanam, Shiva Sharanam, Shri Ram Sharanam, Prabhu Krishna Sharanam, Ram Sharanam, Prabhu Krishna Sharanam, Shri Ram Sharanam, Prabhu Krishna Sharanam, Shiva Sharanam, Prabhu Krishna Sharanam, Krishna Sharanam, Radha Sharanam, Krishna Sharanam, Radha Sharanam, Oh Krishna Sharanam, Radha Sharanam, Krishna Sharanam, Radha Sharanam, Shri Ram Sharanam, Prabhu Krishna Sharanam, Shri Ram Sharanam, Prabhu Krishna Sharanam, Shri Ram Sharanam, Prabhu Krishna Sharanam, Ram Sharanam, Prabhu Krishna Sharanam, Shri Ram
Asatoma Sargamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Nityamangatam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. And solo Shri Lakshmi Narayana Bhagavan ki. Sri Bhutabhrteshwarnath Mandir ki. Shri Radha Krishna Kanhaiya Lal ki. Shri Bhakti Babaji ki. Shri Ramanujacharya ki. Prem se bolo Satgurudeva Sri Swami Vishwananda Mahaprabhu ki. Om Klim Krishnaya Govindaya Gopi Jana Vallabhaya Paraya Paramapurushaya Parakana Mantra Yantra Tantra Oshadastra Shishtam Samana Samana Nirjaya Mocha Mocha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudharshana Ditte Kvala Prataya Savadi Shobhanam Pat Parasmai Parabramane Panchatishe Swaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Sham Venkataramana Govinda. Gopika Jivanam Smaranam Govinda. Bhaktavatsala